Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another deck report. This is Season 5, Week number 16, Part 2, and today we're going to start with Justice Hunters. The first deck that I chose to learn, or the first deck that I chose to test and to showcase in this channel is Dracotail, or is now Dracotail in the TCG. So before we talk about the list, let's talk about why I picked Dracotail before any other pick besides Yummy and K9. I chose Dracotail because it was the one that intrigued me the most. Is the one that I actually welcome the playstyle, and out of the 3 decks coming in Justice Hunters, this is the deck that is not on everybody's radar. Like right now, not a lot of people either know or are respecting Dracotail. And the reason for that is because the OCG has been saturated with Yummy and with Vanquish Soul K9, so more people are going to be leaning towards those decks because they're seeing better results of it. Vanquish Soul winning the EU WCQ is just further going to exacerbate that. It's going to make Vanquish Soul K9 like the most go-to deck, and I will talk about that in another video. But for now, another thing about Dracotail that I kind of want to bring up is, if you are familiar with my older deck profiles, this is a Chimera deck I showcased on 2023 in September, and here's like a better version of it. Obviously talent is now limited, so it's a kind of outdated. The Dracotail deck can play the Shaddoll engine, it can play the Tearlaments engine, and it can also play Blazing Cartesia. Why is that important? The reason that's important is because not a lot of decks can beat Winda. Like, if you look at the post Justice Hunter decks, like the ones that we have that are arriving, like those decks cannot outwin that consistently without proper non-engine. And we'll get to some replays showcasing you that a little bit later. But for now, let's talk about like the main deck itself. So you got 3 Lucias, 3 5 mana, 3 Mueller, 1 Pan, 1 Urgula. That's all the Dracotail monsters. For Dracotail spells, we're maxing out on Ketu and we're maxing out on Rahu. And then the last Dracotail card in the main deck is Tails, Flame, and Horn. So if you're clicking on this video, you're probably already familiar with Dracotail. If you are not, then I'll give you like a little brief synopsis. Dracotail is a fusion archetype that just mainly focuses on dragons as spellcasters. The main culprits will be Grammel and Altharion. The really cool thing about these Dracotail monsters is you can use any monster in the hand as material. So Tearlaments work with this, Shaddolls work with this, Blazing Cartesia work with this. I've seen people experiment with Branded, I've seen people experiment with like all sorts of things. It's just a really cool sub-engine for fusion decks. And in the past, when we look at Chimera was a really good sub-engine for fusion decks, but Chimera was a little bit more limited on what it could make with its fusions. Or fusion spells, rather. You can only make Beast or Fiend with Chimera Fusion, despite it being a quick play spell. And the Chimera Fusions themselves like interact well with Beast, Illusions, and Fiends. Which there's not a lot of those in the other sub-engines, like for other decks. Like Hell Shadow Hollow was like a catalyst to make sure that the Shaddoll bridges well with the engine, because it is a Fiend type monster. While the Tearlaments monsters were good because they could make like the more generic fusions like Garura, Mud, and Dracotail. And those are still in this deck. Like, those culprits are still in here. You also have Super Polymerization. Now, another thing to talk about. And you probably noticed it with the Chimera deck as well as this one. Outside of Femena, there are no hand traps in this deck. Why is that? There is one important thing to mention. And I'll also bring up Triple Tactic Thrust as well. And you'll see that with the replays as well. When it comes to Justice Hunters, hand traps are not a good idea for mid-range decks or like decks that function in the way Dracotail does. The reason for that is because of K9. K9 is going to be everywhere, and that is an engine that punishes hand traps. Much more than that, we have to be careful because Paradise Smasher is in the format. Paradise Smasher is now banned in the OCG, so the OCG doesn't have to worry about that. But we actually do have to worry about Paradise Smasher. That is a card that is going to be around when people pair with the K9 cards. Another thing is, like, Dracotail is a deck that just benefits out of like their fusion monsters more than just benefiting from recycling hand traps. I know that in the OCG, a lot of people like recycling Duels, Ash, and Maxis with Altarion, but we don't have Maxi. We cannot grab back Fualos. Well, we can, but Fualos is just not gonna do anything for us because, you know, they control, like, we control a monster. And, like, yes, Duel is a very powerful hand trap, but against Yomi and against Vanquish Soul K9, Duel is not that good. If Raizios and Mitsurugi stay in the format, then I could see the Duel happening. That's why you see it in the side deck alongside Artifact Lancia. We cannot ignore like the pre-JUHU decks. Like Malice is still going to be a problem. Raizio Mitsurugi is still going to be a problem as well. We'll talk about this card a little bit later, but let's talk about other sub-engines that are in this deck. Why is Blazing Cartesia here? So Blazing Cartesia is a card that is not often played in Dracotail. Some people played it in the OCG as a way to counter Retaliating Sea because it is a not spell card that can just fusion summon. I really like Blazing Cartesia. I think Blazing Cartesia does a lot, especially for this variant of the deck. And the reason for that is, look at all the fusions you can make with her. You can make Dracotail, you can make Secretarian Dragon for the mirror match, you can make Altharion, like with the Blazing Cartesia, you can make Construct if you have a Shaddoll, and you can use Gregunol. There is a draw 2 combo with Gregunol involving Shaddoll cards. If you are interested in that, I will make a video in the future, just showcase you a few like combos that in case you want to play this deck. Yeah, I think Blazing Cartesia is like a staple in like fusion decks, and not many people are taking advantage of it. The other really cool thing about Blazing Cartesia is grabbing itself back to the hand in the end phase. It's really good card economy because it means more ways to fusion summon into more Dracotails. So what else can we talk about here in this deck? There are 7 Shaddoll cards in here. The reason there's 7 specifically is because Wendy is there for Apkalon. You will see one of the replays against Yomi where this does come up. Tearlaments. Why are these cards in here? This is completely optional. I have testing group partners who are testing this deck and they don't like the Tearlament monsters. The reason I like the Tearlament monsters is because they do 2 things for this deck. One, like, they enable more fusions besides the already existing fusions that we already make. The second thing that the Tearlaments do is that it gives you a more oppressive game plan when you're trying to blow out your opponent with your fusion cards. Just pairing up like an Urgula Pop, a Pan Pop, and like a pop from Pearl Rhino as well, like it actually does a lot of damage. Like this deck doesn't have many ways to get rid of spell and traps outside of like Urgula and like Shadow Dragon. So Pearl Rhino just being another out to spell and traps is also pretty much welcomed. So Thrust, I think we already explained this one. Like this card, in my personal opinion, should be a main deck staple for most decks post Justice Hunters. Like turn 0 plays with main deck monster engines will happen post JUHU a lot, and Thrust is just one of those cards that just takes advantage of that. Alright, so now that we've seen a little bit of like the Dracotail cards in general, let's check out some duels. So this is against K9 Mitsurugi Fiendsmith. Kind of a weird deck. And the reason I want to showcase you this duel is because look at how many Charmings they have in their hand. If this was just a straight up like regular combo deck, you're probably looking at like 5 to 6 draws out of those Charmies. That's not gonna happen with Dracotail, at least this variant. So they Perulia. Perulia is a very smart play. You kind of want to do this early in JUHU format, especially because this card, Vanquish Soul, is very vulnerable to this card, and Vanquish Soul is probably going to become the best deck. So I cannot fault Plat for doing this play. That being said, I will punish him with Rahu Dracotail. So they chain for us, and that's going to net them a draw. So we're going to send 5 mana, and we're going to send the Sharon and the Shadow Beast, and we're going to summon Altharion. So what's gonna happen here is there's going to be a massive chain link. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards that are going to enter a chain link. And that's another really cool thing about Dracotail. Dracotail is just one of those decks where if you resolve any of your fusion spells and just get to Altharion, you're going to get a massive card advantage from this. And this is going to be a blowout against a lot of decks. So we're going to activate those cards. My opponent is drawing because of Fua. They drew into Lacrima. And very, very soon they're going to scoop. The 5 mana is gonna go back to my hand, and yeah, they just scooped on the spot. If you are trying to realize what's going on there, they scooped because they know we play Winda, and that kind of shows you that Winda is just going to be very strong against some of these decks. Okay, so we're going on the second game. Our opponent goes first, and they scoop. They do have Jokul, and they do have Lacrima. They can do Fiendsmith plays with their Lacrima if they want. But I don't know if this is gonna be enough. These hand traps that are right here, they don't matter to us that much. Like, maybe the Ash Blossom could be really detrimenting, just for stopping, like, for example, the Rahu or the Pearl Rhino. But, like, yeah. And this is my opponent explaining, like, what his deck was gonna be. So the next draw was gonna be Lucius. Yeah, this was too much for, like, his non-engine. Alright, let's go for the next replay. This is against Yummy. If you are familiar with Justice Hunters, you already know about Yummy by now. Yummy is just another one of those very strong decks that we're going to be facing this format. They're playing the Sacred Beast engine, which is something I actually did not think about. I think by the first couple of weeks, we're going to be seeing a lot of experimentation with Yummy, because there are a lot of different monster engines that can just get you to your Yummy cards. And the Spirit Beast engine, this is not a bad engine at all. Like, yes, they did discard for this, and yes, this is a little bit more vulnerable to draw, but like right now they have a level 2 on board, so now they can just make Herald of Arclight with Cupsy without relying on Starhand. So that's just one thing to bring up. So they're going to summon the Cupsy, they add the Yummy Surprise, and if you're familiar with Yummy, I don't think I have to explain this. This is just a Yummy combo. Like, okay, so this is as normal as it gets when it comes to a Yummy board. You're probably going to see boards very similar to this, like when you're facing this deck. This is a lot. Like, the Lollipop can just tag itself for two more Yummies. The Snatchy is a once per chain effect to just make more synchros. This Herald of Arclight is a really big deal against our deck because against Dracotail, this card, like the passive effect to just banish the monsters, does come up. It just means less card economy for us. So we drew Sharon for turn, and we're here at this point. We do have the Super Poly. This card is really, really, really good this format. Like, this card annihilates Yummy. And not only that, this card is also really good against canines. You will see that later on, well, with another replay. I think if your deck can play this card, it should play this card. You have to keep in mind, like, the pre-JUHU decks, but this card is also really good against Mr. Rugi as well. Just to bring up another example. This card is not amazing versus Vanquish Soul, but it can be used against Vanquish Soul. Alright, so we activate the Super Poly, we pitched the Squamata, we have 2 Squamatas, so it doesn't matter to us. We're taking away the 2 Synchros. By taking away the 2 Synchros, we put them on use the Yummy Surprise if they want to use Snatchy or IP. And that just puts them in a very awkward situation. So we summon Mud Dragon, and Mud Dragon is really good as well because most of Yummy's interactions do target. Like the Cookie Yummy Way targets. I think the Cookie also targets to pop a monster, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Like, so again, the Super Poly just really good in general. We enter battle phase. We just nab the Snatchy. We just want to get rid of it and make our plays a lot easier. So we normal summon Mueller, and now they're trying to chain the Surprise. We're going to chain Mueller to the Surprise. And now we're going to make Altharion. That summons the Lollipop. And now look at this chain link. We have Sharon, we have Squamata, we have Mueller, and we have Altharion. And this goes back to what I said about Dracotail. Like, you're just going to amass a lot of advantage with all your cards after they're being used. And this is just a snowball effect. So, they're going to tag the Lollipop, but it won't matter. The reason it won't matter is because of Mueller's effect. When Mueller is used as a fusion material, it sets a Dracotail spell trap, but Mueller can also non-target negate a face-up monster. So you can just negate the Snatchy, and in a separate chain, this Snatchy is useless. So yeah, like, my opponent's going to realize that very soon. And not only that, they're locked on their Winda as well. Like, this is just a unwinnable game for Yummy. Let's pick up another Yummy replay. They're playing the hand trap build with Songs of the Dominators. That's kind of weird. Like, you usually don't see this card paired with monster hand traps. But I guess it's one of those see whatever card you draw first and play with it situation. They do have the combination of imprint with the songs. I think they won the role, and they can just set the Song of the Dominators, so it doesn't matter that much. And look what happened here. He's about to scoop. And this goes back to what we saw with the last replay. We sent 1, 2, 3 materials for Aetherion. This is going to be a Chain Link 4. And in that Chain Link 4, we have Orgula to pop. And let's see. Orgula does not target to pop a spell or trap. So whatever spell and trap your opponent has, they have to flip it. Like, they have to flip it on the spot. Otherwise, they're going to lose that card to Orgula. This is just going to make Winda, or like we can even make Dracotail with these two if we want. And whatever we don't use for fusing with the Tearlament, we'll just grab back with Aetherion. So this is just another win for us. Yep. Now we're going to the next game. So now they go first, and we see that they have the striker package. So if you look at our hand, this hand is incredibly strong. This hand, there's almost no Yummy Ember that should be able to beat this hand. However, we are going to make a misplay, and this goes back to what I explained about not playing as many hand traps in this deck, and why you shouldn't be playing hand traps at all outside of like 5 mana. So they're going to activate, they're going to Widow Anchor, grab Widow Anchor. They're going to now do the Yummy play, which is the Kagari for the Hornet Drones. We're going to change Halfness to the Kagari. And my logic behind doing this is we could mill any Shaddoll, and depending on what Shaddoll we mill, we can do whatever plays. If we go back to the Dracotail deck, we're playing 3 Squamatas. Most OCG builds play 3 Shaddoll Beast and no Squamata. I don't get that part. I think Squamata is just way better. Squamata can just send whatever Shaddoll you need, including Shaddoll Beast. So going back to this game, we're going to activate the Halfness, and we're going to get punished for it. We do draw with Shaddoll Beast, which is an upside, but we don't have any more defensive cards, and we ended Thrust is now live. This goes back to what I was saying about this format. Like, this card is going to be a staple. You're going to see this card a lot. So doing plays like this with the Halfness, don't do that. Please don't do that. This is a PSA for you. I'm about to lose this game because I did this play. So they grab Talents. They're going to look at hand. They take away the Super Poly, which was our best line of offense against the Yummy deck. And now they're going to Yummy full combo, and like, this is going to be a lot. Field spell into Cup C. They grab the Lollipop to bring them back. They make Metal Marcher and Metal Marcher into the Herald. And this goes back to what I explained about the Sacred Beast build. The Sacred Beast build just skips the step of using Metal Marcher in order to make the Herald, which is actually very strong. And now they make SP instead of IP. The reason they went SP here is just to get rid of the body. They don't want this Tearlament monster to just take advantage. Our hand is not bad. Our hand has Rahu and Shaddoll Fusion. Like, you know, and we do have Blazing Cartesia. The problem is we still have to worry about the floodgate effect of Herald for the Arclight. So we activate Shaddoll Fusion. They're going to like tag out. We're going to summon the Apkalone, and this is why Wendy was in the deck. Like, summoning Apkalone to just bait the Herald or just negate it does come up. And not only that, Apkalone can just snowball into another card if it's like sent to the graveyard. So yeah, like don't misplay with deck building with this deck. Try to fit Apkalone. And another thing about Apkalone is it is a card to send with Brand with Null in order to get to the Shaddoll Fusion, if that ever comes up. I also just noticed, well, we drew 5 mana for turn, which is pretty much one of the best top decks that we could have had. So in normal Blazing Cartesia, they're going to SP Little Knight to banish it. We're going to chain the 5 mana. they're going to chain Snatchy. We make Altharion. We're trying to chain block with everything. And you're probably thinking, well, this is a lot of card advantage because we're popping on a lot of cards. Yeah, the problem is, if you've ever faced against Yummy, this card is once per chain every time we do something. And he's just going to keep synchro summoning, and he's just going to keep getting cards off the board for us. Yeah, and this is just way too much advantage. They pretty much nailed it with the Ash Blossom in the end. And now we're going to game 3, and this game is this deciding match, obviously. We see that they have Imperm, they have Evenly, they have Ash Blossom. They have a really good hand for going second. But you will see very soon that it really won't matter. So we're not doing Sharon, we're going to send Windy. We mill all 3 spells, which is unfortunate. We activate the JUHU Dracotail, it gets ashed. We're going to activate Lucius, it gets impermed. And now we're going to Ketu into 5 mana. And 5 mana is going to make Winda, and now we're going to do extra fusion plays. So we make a Mud Dragon here. In hindsight, we should have just made another Winda and use the Windy as material. And 2 Windas is a lot for our opponent. But it's a blessing in disguise because they do have Evenly. So yeah, they're going to Evenly us. We just keep the Winda. When they draw Blazing Cartesia, they fool us. We're on Gragwin Null. We cannot trigger the Halfness because we are under the Winda lock. We don't make Shaddoll Beast, and we just attack. They draw for turn. Yep. And this is what I said about Winda just being very problematic for Yummy. Yummy had engine. They had ways to play the game, but they had not have ways to beat Winda. And the last top deck was Song of was Dominus Purge. That Imperm could have gotten them out of Winda, which is what they were looking for. And this is why making the second Winda was important. Although they did have Evenly, so that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Winda is just going to win games against these decks. Here is another replay. This is against Vanquish Soul. And we're going to Lucius. Lucius is going to grab us the Pan. We're going to 5 mana. And that makes us the Altharion. We grab Pan back to hand. We set the Super Poly, and now they're going to Izuna, and now they're going to Lupus. And this is exactly what I meant when I said the hand traps should not be played in decks like this one. Because of us interacting and making Altharion and just grabbing a few cards, getting these cards set, we just triggered a bunch of their Canine effects, and now they're just starting to play on our turn. You could make the argument that you could just not, whether or not setting these cards were worth it, but we didn't know what deck they were on, so we pretty much just played it safe. And this is why this is a bad matchup for Dracotail to begin with. So now they're going to Holisu, they're going to do that for Rosin, they're going to Rosin effect, they're going to grab the Caesar. Notice how they're summoning everything in defense. The reason they're doing that is because of Dracotail Horn. Dracotail Horn can compulse a monster and make you draw a card, but the monster has to be in attack position. So by summoning everything in defense, they're just playing around it. They summon that. Now we're going to 5 mana. They're thinking whether or not to contest with Caesar. They do have all 3 attributes for Caesar. And now, but their Caesar is summoned in attack position. That was their misplay. So they played right into the Horn. And we got rid of most of their board. But again, this is why Vanquish Soul is just way too strong. And now they're going to punish us with the canine stuff. Winda, yep. Now we're going to game 2. And we have Winda access with their hand, while our opponent has only Mad Love as their playable card. So we're going to talents. They go to Ash the Rahu Dracotail. So we talents look at their hand. We put back the Dr. Mad Love, and we pretty much gonna put our opponent on better top deck. We do have 5 mana to just play on their turn. In the like worst case scenario, we can just jump scare them with Winda and use Mueller to just set follow up. That is a play we can do. So they draw for turn, they pass, and they drew into talent. This talent is going to play an important role, and this is another PSA if you're playing this deck. So we summon Mueller. Mueller is going to fuse all of that into our Therion, and now we're going to trigger a bunch of effects. We already saw their hand, so we know that they had no canines. They might have top deck Lupus, but I doubt it. Now we summon Winda. We made the Draco Dragontail with Ketu Dragontail to add Pan, and now we just attack with them both. And so they have Pancratops, right? We have Dragontail Horn, and they try to declare battle phase. This is a huge misplay from my end. I should have just let them go to battle phase, have them try to attack over Winda, just activate Dragontail Horn. Yes, we don't get the draw, and we don't get the bounce, but at least we stop the Pancratops, and they already special summoned. So they're locked on their Winda, and we just get a free turn, and we just win the duel that way, right? So misplay number 1, we do not do that. We try to just make another Altharion, and the reason Altharion is it just contests against the Pancratops, and it's just going to get us more defensive cards, and it's just going to push advantage with our engine. We already know 2 of their opponent's cards in their hand. We don't know about the Holisu nor the talents, which comes to the second misplay. So bunch of effects. Yep, that gets destroyed. Pan goes back to our hand, same as Mueller. Not Mueller, 5 mana. And we're going to set the Tail and the Ketu. Tail and the Rahu. And now we're going to get punished because now they're going to talents, they're going to take the Altharion, they're going to run over the Winda, and now they can do their Dracotail plays. Their Vanquish plays. So 2 things. 1, I had absolutely no reason to summon this in attack position. Like, I used this on my opponent's turn, and they are on their Winda. So there's literally nothing stopping me from summoning this in defense. And the worst thing they could do is just talents, take Winda, tribute to summon the Holisu, and if they still pass turn because they had no way to get their engine rolling. Big misplay from our end. Don't do what I did. Just activate trap card on battle phase. You don't care about the super poly at that point. So we lost that match. Vanquish K9 is a bad matchup for us, but Winda makes that matchup significantly easier if you know how to sequence it well versus their deck, which is one of the main reasons I like this variant. Now, last replay. This is against the Mirror Mash. I want to showcase this duel because this duel has a lot of interactions. This is a very, very good duel. So, we go Blazing Cartesia, we summon Altharion, Blazing Cartesia to and 5 mana to our hand. We learned from last time, we're summoning it in defense. We're adding the Pan as another disruption. Now they're going to 5 mana. and they're going to do Altharion. And again, this goes back to how it's very, very risky to do turn 0 plays like this in Dracotail unless you're either A, breaking their board, like stopping their combos, or B, like just summoning Winda. Like if you're not doing any of those things, you shouldn't be doing this play, because like this Altharion is doing nothing against us. Like we literally got back all our cards. We got 5 mana into rotation, so we can just 5 mana on their turn. To be fair, they do have Call by the Grave, which is something to note. But yeah, we're going to punish them with Shaddoll Fusion, which is another thing that's just strong about this deck. Now we're just getting rid of our opponent's resources. They drew into Lupus, so this is the canine variant of Dracotail. They're going to Urgula, they're going to pop. They're going to Urgula to grab back the 5 mana. Now we're going to Rahu. They're going to Chain Grammel. They are fusion locked now, so that's important. Now they Call by the Grave our Construct, and that was their misplay. I would have just let the Construct go through. Because by them not keeping the Call by the Grave, now our 5 mana is live, and this 5 mana is going to go wild against his board. His 5 mana was already used, so there's nothing stopping us from doing this play. And we're going to switch the Altharion back to defense in a second. We don't want to play around like the Horn. So we draw for turn. Most of their board is now gone. We make another Altharion. Well, that play is not legal because we don't have a Dracotail in our hand. Like, we have to make another play. So we're not going to do that. Dragon, they're going to bounce the Lupus. That's why they summoned it in attack position, because they know that we were not going to do it. Now we summon Blazing Cartesia, and that makes Draco Stapelia. Now we're going to trigger from Grave, we're going to trigger the Grammel. Shaddoll Core will grab us for Shaddoll Fusion back. They're going to Lupus. We're going to Draco Stapelia the Lupus. In case you were wondering, they could make Typhon with the Lupus. That's why they legally could do the Lupus play. So now our opponent goes first, and they're going to do canine plays. They're going to showcase you their engine. They're not just on Izuna, they are on multiple canines. And I do understand why. Like, this Ripper is really strong against Dracotail because this just shuts down 5 mana. So if you end up seeing like this play and you have 5 mana access, take note, this Ripper can freeze 5 mana. So that's something very important to know when you're playing this deck. So now they're going to do their standard Dracotail plays. They're going to grab back Izuna as a defensive card. They're going to grab back 5 mana. They're going to grab 5 mana with the Ketu. And we top deck Shaddoll Fusion for turn. This is a really good top deck. So now what we're going to do is we're going to activate the Peloreno. This is a really good Ash check. So Dracotail has this issue where pretty much almost all their cards, all their spell and traps, they are Ashable. So just playing other cards that can bait Ash Blossom before the Dracotail cards is really important in the matchup. And this is another reason why Peloreno is very important. This also forces the Flame Dracotail's trap if they want to use it. They let it go through. We grab Halfness. With normal Mueller, we're going to try to Mueller. Mueller resolves. We're going to summon Grammel. And we're going to Halfness Chaining 1, Mueller Chaining 2, and Grammel Chaining 3. Well, Grammel can miss timing, so this is the opportunity for our opponent to respond. They're going to respond with Ripper to negate the Mueller, and this does stop Grammel from going off. There is a world where you can just chain block for Mueller, but I really don't mind chaining for Halfness. The reason I did not put Mueller as chaining 1 is because I want my opponent to interact. I want my opponent to actually stop it, because that plays. Because if they don't, they get punished by Grammel. So they chain Liberation as well. So the Liberation goes first. The Liberation is going to pop the Grammel, and that Grammel that just got popped, we're going to use it as a fusion material. Yeah, we're just taking it back. There we go. And that is going to make Dracotail. And this is very important because this Dracotail is going to be stopping the werewolf from looking at our hand and ripping a card. Now we have the Primeval Planet to pop the set card, which is another reason the tier engine is just really good. So we pop the Case of Canine. The Case of Canine gets their graveyard effect. That was a good bluff on their end. Now with Shaddoll Fusion. Shaddoll Fusion, we're going to send. We're sending Blazing Cartesia and Squamata. This is like the best send from Shaddoll Fusion. Post Doom of Dimension, we can send Dracotail Fixel as another material instead of Blazing Cartesia. But until then, Blazing Cartesia is going to be the best card because she is one that can grab itself back to her hand in the end phase, which just means more card economy. So now we're going to chain. They're going to chain the Werewolf. We're going to chain the Dracotail. The reason we summon Dracotail in defense and not the construct is because of Dracotail Horn. But we didn't know about Horn back then. We now know about First Liberation. So post side, I think I play Aerial. If you are playing the Shaddoll build, I do highly recommend Aerial. Aerial is really good because it forces out the canines out of the opponent's graveyard. And against the Dracotail deck, it also banishes the Urgula, it banishes the Pan. Against the Yummy deck, it forces the Synchros to interact with you early. But otherwise, they're losing all their materials for the Synchros. So, yeah. So they're going to chain the Lupus. We pop the Liberation. We now activate Ketu Dracotail. And Ketu can now make us... Well, it cannot legally make Altharion. We're going to grab the Pan anyway. We're going to activate Thrust. And again, Thrust is just really good this format. So Thrust for Rahu. We do have Pan in our hand. We're going to make Altharion now. And we're going to try to use Pan to just pop a card. We're going to pop the XYZ, and now they're going to Izuna, and then they're going to Lupus, and this is what I meant with Super Polymerization also being important. This stops the Lupus from doing the Nash Knight play on our turn. That just gets rid of both bodies. There is a world where we could have just kept Izuna and just use Lupus and Altharion, because I think Lupus has to include itself as material. Yeah, using this card you control. So Lupus would not have resolved, and we just have a monster who can run over with Mud. But hindsight, attack with construct first, and this is like 59 damage. Blazing Cartesia adds us back to our hand, and now they lost because their top deck is Ash. Really cool match. Like we had Flame in to just negate whatever spell they would top deck. We have Dracotail for whatever normal summon they have. And worst case scenario, we can just like Mud Dragon to protect like certain some of our cards. And if they get rid of one of our fusions, we do have Pan's effect to just bring back Mueller. And Mueller can just interact more on their turn. So yeah, let's go back to the deck. So This is Dracotail Shaddoll Tearlaments. I guess we can just call it Heavy Shaddoll Dracotail. Very long deck report, but I kind of wanted to showcase you those rematches because this is going to be a common occurrence post Justice Hunters. I hope you found this video informative to your liking and understanding. The video is already long enough, so I'm not gonna cover absolutely everything. We still need to talk about this card, and we need to talk about other sided cards that you should be considering this format. But until then, keep practicing and keep dueling.